So one thing that's a consistent theme in my show and kind of what I like to talk about on my Twitter page is I go after the Black Congressional Caucus and I go after Barack Obama because there's a strong cultural feeling in the black community where we want to prop each other up if we have the opportunity, and it also feels good when you see someone who look like you, your skin folk, get into a position of power. So when we see black politicians, we tend to flock towards them, and we will support them in mass. And it kind of makes sense because you would think if you have someone that looked like you who come from your background, well, that what a lot of people think, but they really don't. A lot of these people are, a lot of these black politicians live very privileged lives. Not all of them, but a great deal of them. But there's this feeling if you elect someone who looks like you, they will fight on behalf of your interests. And even to this day, that's why you see a lot of people have this cult-like following of Barack Obama and a lot of the members of the Black Congressional Caucus because they see someone who look like them and they think they fight on their behalf. But I constantly lay out the argument that the establishment realize how loyal we are to skin folk in power, and they use that to weaponize us, right? So the Black Congressional Caucus is one of the most powerful tools of white supremacy because the Black Congressional Caucus is full of sellouts who take a lot of money from corporations and push interests that harms our communities. And that's what this video is about because I was doing some reading and I'm gonna link the article in the description. Um, and I apologize I'm not able to like show it on the screen here. I really want to be able to do that, but once again, I'm still trying to grow my channel. I'm just shooting with this tablet, so for now I'm gonna just link the article in the description. But pretty much it goes over the fact that Core Civic is one of the largest private prison lobbying groups in this country. And Core Civic, their history is fighting police reform, fighting prison reform, and they push for slave prison labor. They are a giant machine that push for these policies that lead to the police state that we're in now. So, what the Black Congressional Caucus does, and they do this all the time, they always say that we're gonna push back against private prisons. And as you read the article, these private prisons donate to a lot of members of the Black Congressional Caucus. They put thousands of dollars into the Black Congressional Institute, Caucus Institute, which is a sub branch of the Black Congressional Caucus, in another way where they kind of funnel funds, right? And they also donated to, you already know who, Jim Clyburn, among many other people. Um, so on one hand, you see this all the time. The Black Congressional Caucus will post on their social media that we gotta fight private prison reform, but at the same time, they take money from private prisons and they support the policies that oppress us. They support our oppressors. And I mean, you can look at this election now. A vast majority of the Black Congressional Caucus, if not all of them, backed Joe Biden, and Jim Clyburn erased all the work we did on the ground in South Carolina because even the exit polls show that majority of the voters, I wish I remember on top of my head, but it was like 70% or so, made their decision following the Jim Clyburn endorsement. So, what the Black Congressional Caucus, their role is to take otherwise anti-establishment black people like myself, and they try to drag them to the right. The Black Congressional Caucus has done untold harm on our community by doing this. Because if you look at our past, and this is a past they don't teach you in school, this is a past they're always trying to ignore, there is a long history of black socialists, right? I mean, a lot of people that watch my videos and follow my tweets know MLK, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton. There's a W.B. Du Bois. And W.B. Du Bois wrote about and warned us about the black liberals. Malcolm X did as well. I like the way W.B. Du Bois put it out because I'm paraphrasing, but pretty much what he said was he wrote this in socialism in the American Negro, where there is a force that compels a lot of successful black people to join the oligarchy. on the side of the oligarchy when it comes to oppressing our people, because they believe that's a great way to validate their status and confirm their status within white America. And that's exactly what the Black Congressional Caucus does, and that's exactly what they are. Because if you look at the policies that they support, we went after Joe Biden because he supported the crime bill, but a lot of people in the Black Congressional Caucus supported the crime bill as well. A lot of people in the Black Congressional Caucus supports the new Jim Crow. So Bernie Sanders was saying that we should legalize marijuana and expunge past evictions. Joe Biden is still on the belief that marijuana is a gateway drug. He is not budging on that. And it's been proven consistently that the new Jim Crow is a racist policy. And it went back from the Nixon days where they wanted to go after hippies and black people because they saw that they were political threats to the Republican Party. Right? So they use this new Jim Crow, and you can see it in the numbers how they target African American men for weed possession much more than white Americans, even though white Americans do it a lot higher rate, much more than black Americans do as well. And not only that, they down the line, if you look at every single policy that would support, that would help the black community in waves, in a great amount, the Black Congressional Caucus is opposed to it. Jim Clyburn is opposed to Medicare for All, and this is a message that I've been putting out ever since I got into politics. Medicare for All is the most pro-black platform policy that you could possibly push, because who are the people that are most underinsured? Who are the most people that are most uninsured? Who are the people who had the highest amount of medical debt? What are the people that are most likely to die of heart disease? And all this is linked because a lot of us don't go to the doctor. I don't go to the doctor. Luckily enough, I'm born in the age of the internet, and I eat pretty healthy, and I work out, so I've been healthy for a long time, but how long is that going to last? I relied on the internet and self-diagnosis as my healthcare. That's been my healthcare, because even when I had employee-sponsored healthcare, I was trying to go to the doctor, get something done, and then the copays and deductibles will be insanity. So, black people will unbelievably disproportionately be affected by Medicare for All. And the Black Congressional Caucus en masse doesn't support it. Barack Obama expanded the police state by militarizing the police. The police had gained around $400 million extra because Barack Obama pushed civil asset forfeiture. And guess who is affected mostly by civil asset forfeiture? The black community, obviously, because we are targeted mostly because of drug charges. And not only that, it's the poor as well. Because what they do, they hold your possession. You got to get it back through lawyers, and you got to pay a lot of different fees. And guess who don't have the fees to pay that kind of stuff? Poor people. The disenfranchised communities. So not even just black people, but poor whites, Latinos. They were screwed by the policies that the Black Congressional Caucus pushed to this day. And now we have Stacey Abrams, who just came out today, and not even just her. There's a ton of Democrats that are attacking the idea of defund the police without offering any coherent argument for reform the police. Because this is a tweet, and this is a post and a tweet I made before, where I go over, I'm like, the burden of proof is not on the defund the police, because we explain properly our position is the rational position, because police does not prevent crime. They show up afterwards and clean up the mess, but they don't prevent crime. So what we want to do, we want to take those funds and reallocate it to mental health experts, community patrols, a lot of different mental health facilities and clinics that are abandoned in the black community. There's no option for mental health where I'm from. And I can only imagine, like in the South and where a lot of the other black urban areas are, the lack of mental health options are available to them. And the Black Congressional Caucus are against defunding, and they are for reforms, they say. So my argument is, if you're going to be for reforms, the burden of proof is not on us. It's on you to explain what makes these reforms different than reforms that you guys tried in the past that did not work. right? And Joe Biden said there should be a national ban on chokeholds. That what he tweeted yesterday, I believe. Well, there was a ban on chokeholds, and they still do it in a lot of states. They're not a national ban. I believe the state in Minnesota there was a ban. There's a ban in New York, but they still take people out with chokeholds because the police don't follow the fucking rules. How you gonna reform a system where the police don't have to follow the rules, where they can re-report and they can make up shit. They don't have to follow the rules because they got solidarity amongst the police staff. So there's no reason for them to even follow the rules if we have reform. The only way we can really change the situation and increase public safety and revamp law enforcement is by defunding the police and reallocating to these to the other programs that will actually prevent crime. If you increase education, that prevent crime. If you help get mental health, that prevents crime. And I can take it a step further. If you address income inequality, that addresses crime. I mean, I don't even have to repeat it, but everyone knows the lower the income is, the more likely that area is to commit crime. So imagine we had the policies, a living wage, Medicare for all, free public college, that help close the income gap. That would do a great amount deal of reducing poverty. A great amount deal. But they don't push for those reforms. They don't. Our last black president took a lot of money from Wall Street, and when the crash happened, he bailed the banks instead of bailing our communities, and that tanked our wealth because a lot of our wealth was in our homes. And that's the same thing that's going to happen now because the black congressional sellouts sold us out again by backing COVID package after COVID package that doesn't take care of the black community. There's going to be a large wave of evictions coming up. And what the fuck is the Black Congressional Caucus doing about that? And guess who's going to be most affected by these evictions? The black community. So, once again, this is my theme. They talk a good game, but the Black Congressional Caucus is not on your side. It's not only that they are on their side, they are there to advance the agenda of white supremacy. They are backing a candidate. They endorse a candidate who, in the midst of all this police brutality and Black Lives Matter, Joe Biden proposed $300 million extra for the police force. And this is the guy that they backed over the guy who had comprehensive criminal justice reform. So I don't know what to tell people who still believe that skinfolk have our back just because they look like us. I think those days need to end because the neoliberal establishment has done an amazing job on tricking our community and thinking that just because someone looked like us, that they have our best interests at hand, which is why Barack Obama was the perfect neoliberal weapon, absolute perfect neoliberal weapon, because he advanced white supremacy while keeping us happy, right? Because he looked like one of us. He can speak really well. Black wealth was tanked under his administration. He deported Latinos en masse. He bombed Muslims. He hurt every single community except the white community. And that's why white liberals love Barack Obama and why white liberals love the Black Congressional Caucus, because they do their bidding for them.